It's Tuesday again. Here we are. Um, just rolled in from the gym. I am definitely, we're going to say prepared. I'm very prepared today. Let me drop out a quick note letting people know I'm online. And that's this button here. Right. All right. Let's code that new PR. Not a bad idea. Okay. Yeah, we're here. Here we go. So, 500 for reps. Today was not a deadlift day. Although I did hit 515 for reps yesterday on deadlift. Not sad about that. Today was overhead press, and so we're working up toward my goal is a 225 overhead press. So today I was at 205, is that right? Yeah, 205 overhead press. What's up, Vinny? How you doing? But yeah, so let's do code that new PR. I feel like that's a good target for today because I've been working on some cleanup stuff. I got a couple changes that I had to make because things started breaking on me. So why don't I do this? I'm going to update the banner to say what the heck we're doing, and this is going to be code tv.dev monorepo upgrades. It's actually monorepo and automation because we're probably going to clean up some of that automation stuff today. I am going to have to cut it a little bit short today. We are doing a photo shoot in our kitchen because we had work done on our kitchen, and the company that did the work wants to show it off. So they're coming in today to do a photo shoot at noon, which means I need to leave here about an hour earlier than I normally would on a Tuesday. That's all right because time constraints are probably healthy. Let's get this up there, get the right screen arrangement. Let's do that one. Hide this little guy. And okay. So I think everything is stopped. Let's kill all node. Let's pull my activity monitor back up. Let's make sure that the node stuff is actually done because I've certainly had some issues with I haven't had time to like dig into this. So this is the same problem that I had before where in the NX tools, I occasionally get a hung process, and I'm not 100% sure why that is. I intend to go hunt that down, but today is not the day for that. And so this is going to be npm run dev. Oh no, this is going to have to go inside of exec nx run dev ingest. That's what I want. Okay. So that'll get the pieces running. And come on. So you're running. This is running. So out here, we can go to localhost 4321. This will give us the website. I can also go to localhost 8288 is the ingest server. And this will give us the local ingest server. So if I go into functions, I can find, let's make sure the thing that I wanted to happen happens. And this is going to be this is the one I can run without any issues. So this is going to run. All the things go through. And at the end, we should get back. Here's our output is null because we don't return that, but we do get a list of bookable show dates, right? So this is doing exactly what I want it to do. And so that means that the ingest stuff is working. It's firing through the local setup. So let's go look at, let's see, this is the wrong project. And let's see, make sure, let's just close all editors because I think I had some nvar stuff up and we'll not want to leak that. Well, I don't. I know Lenny does. Today's not the day for that. 100%. Yes. Want to do front end using Framer only? I mean, Framer's a good tool. You can definitely use Framer. Like, I like it. It's fine. As far as what you should do, I guess, build some projects, read the docs, talk to the Framer community when you get stuck, and you'll get there. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a review. Let me bump the file size up just a tad so that's more legible. And let's see, can I collapse folders and explore? All right. So this is the project that we're working on. I've been kind of cleaning this up a little bit so that we've got our web apps are the website itself, codetv.dev. We've got workflows. That's the ingest stuff that I want to decouple from the website so that somebody who is wanting to submit a pull request or like update the UI or even just see how the site runs can pull it up locally without needing all of the nvars that have to go into the workflows. And then the content is we're running Sanity there. So that's the local instance of Sanity. Not necessarily required for local dev, more if you're like messing with the schema because it will pull from Sanity's content lake, which is like accessible via the API, whether you're on the local version or the hosted version of Sanity. Kind of, they're like an API. It's all APIs. So their local client is just using the APIs on your behalf. You don't necessarily need the local thing running to do dev mode. We've got it set up with NX so that the pnpm run dev is going to run all of the things. So it uses NX, it does the run many. This dev ingest here, I had to pin NX, and this is something I'm working on. So NX is currently pinned at 20. There is a newer version, but that newer version is causing issues for me specifically. I think there's two pieces. The first piece is locally, it's causing me a lot of trouble with processes not terminating properly. And then in CI, it was giving me some trouble where NX21 would, it'll complete, but it doesn't exit. So the CI like just sits until it times out, even though everything succeeded. That was a bug that it's open on the NX repo. I know they're working on it. So that'll be when that gets resolved, I'll try bumping back up to 21 and see if that has sorted out my local problems as well. I have a hunch they're related because it seems that the issue is that it's not fully exiting. And my guess is that because it's not fully exiting locally, not fully exiting in CI, it's probably the same bug. So fingers crossed that'll get sorted on its own upstream, and then I will just do the upgrade. And then we've got, what else is going on? We've got a whole bunch of dependencies here. We've got Astro, we've got Clerk, Sanity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's all happening in here. So we have the website itself. We are very close to having fully decoupled. And so check this out. This is the thing that I've been doing most recently, which is I had to rewrite. I was using .env here, this encrypted .env file, and that gives you this kind of hashed. This is what it looks like. You can put this into source code because you need a passphrase to do it, but this is like a couple private keys, and this exceeds the 4 kilobyte limit of AWS Lambda, which is why I have to do it this way. But then Netlify in a monorepo scenario doesn't like, it's not great at handling files that aren't included in the normal ways. And so the way that .env works is you specify the path, but you're not importing that .env. You are you're like telling the package where to look for it. And because of the way Netlify works, it won't include that file by default. So then you specify it to include that file, but it puts it somewhere weird, and then you got to get pathing right. And it's flaky enough that I just gave up on it entirely. So what I've swapped out for instead is a Linux command called env substring that allows me to just replace strings with environment variables. And this is built in, this just works. So the way that works is if I open up the Mux video player, here, what we have is the this string here represents the environment variable. And when I run the env substring, what it's doing is it's taking this file, running it through env substring. That's what this little thing means, is like throw this in here. And then the output, that's what this little thing means, goes to this mux video player .updated.astro. Then we run a second command after that one finishes. That's the double and here. We move it from the updated to the original file name. So effectively what we're doing is taking the contents of muxvideoplayer.astro, looking for any strings that match the env substring command structure, replacing them with their end variable values, and then renaming. So we put it into a new file. I don't even know if that step is 100% necessary, but I don't want to find out that it like creates a race condition or something. So the way that I saw this done is to create a temporary file and then rename that file over the top of the file that was used for the replacement. And you end up with this file in place, has the variables or the values in it directly. And it's done in a place where this is the server side stuff. So it doesn't like expose it locally. And this drives me up a wall. But I can't control AWS's choices, and the 4. I am 100% sure there's a good reason for the 4 kilobyte limit. It just makes me sad. I am also sad that like Mux and Google and stuff decide to use these private keys instead of just issuing API tokens like everybody else, because these just create so much of a painful workaround when an API key would have been like a non-issue. So I'm sure there's a good reason. I don't know what it is. I try not to get too salty about developer choices because I know they typically come with some context that I don't have. But as an end user, this sucks and I don't like it. And I've had the same problem with the Google APIs because they issue these super long tokens like the like a SSL cert. If you've ever seen the keys for those, like they're huge and gross, which is why when you look at the encrypted file here, that's why it's this long, right? It's because we have to encrypt all of that key, and it's just huge. And it's silly to work with, and you don't want to deal with it. And it is what it is. But so this solved that problem for me, though, where now I don't have to do the thing. And I did the same thing down in workflows where I have it's in libs. Which one uses it? It's the integrations, and then it's the Google integration. I set this config up where now I have an auth key in here that's using these. So this also runs that .env, and then up here we just import config and use the config, but we allow the keys to be used if they're present, which saves me from having to do the replacement locally, which I'm realizing now I should do here as well. Because if I don't, I won't be able to do local dev with this. This will fail, and my Mux videos won't work. But so the general idea here is you check to see if it's in the environment. On Netlify, it won't be because it's too big. So it falls back to this string, which will be the replaced value. Yeah, the env substring and the GitHub action. So it's basically that's how if you're restricted on the size of environment variables, env substring is probably faster than anything else. It's definitely like that .env is a great idea in theory, and it does some things that I like. For example, this is writing to the file. So theoretically, if somebody could like exfiltrate the raw file from Lambda, which I'm reasonably certain isn't possible. I like that's what they say at least is that it's not possible for somebody to get the raw files. If they could, the key would just be written right in there, right? And whereas in .env it is only done in memory ever, and so theoretically speaking, it would be significantly harder to exfiltrate that. Um, I don't know enough about the security space to know how big a difference it is in one way or the other. My hunch is that if you're good enough to get if you're good enough to get through to the raw files in AWS, you're probably good enough to figure out how to echo out the contents of memory. And so it is what it is. But I guess that would be true for environment variables too, right? So if that's the case, then who cares? Secrets don't matter. So yeah. Um, Any suggestions for a full stack dev to excel fast? Build more stuff. Like build stuff that is fun and interesting, and do it all the time. And just make sure that you are sharing and getting feedback. And if you can, do it with friends, because that process of seeing how somebody else solves a problem, getting some feedback on how you solved the problem, all that leads to a faster pace of development, because that's really how it rocks. Let's see. What's up, Bridge? How you doing? Ingest versus N8N. I like N8N. I think the big difference in my mind is that N8N felt very visual when I used it. Like it was kind of like a node interface, like a node-based kind of like draw the pipes connections, which I like. Ingest is a little harder to get your head around, because everything, if I jump into the workflows here and we look at, say, how, not the API, but like the steps, you end up with these sort of big wrappers where this is the logic that we're calling. And in order to do that, we're creating a function, we are giving it an ID, we're giving it like what event calls it. And my hunch is that this is what N8N is doing under the hood, is kind of building this configuration object for you so that you don't have to think about it. However, what I like about this, and sort of why I lean on the code directed versus UI directed, is mainly just that I have so much more practice reading code than I do at reading somebody else's UI. And so for me, and this is very much like a n=1 sample set here, my preference is for this, because I can think about these as individual functions. I've been writing functions for 20 something years. It makes sense to my brain to break down logic like this. I know that the same thing is happening in N8N, where you have the node, and then you can open up the custom code inside the node and see it. You can see the inputs, the outputs, all those things. It's mainly just, I think, personal preference at this point for me. So let's dig a little deeper into what's going on here and what's keeping us from being able to fully drop all of these environment variables from the website. So I'm in this monorepo cleanup, and the to-dos are basically, we want to get rid of all of the utils in here. And so I think this one needs to go. I think we may have already done this. Let's see, load users by IDs. So let's check inside website and see if we are loading. Is it utils or util? Okay, and we want to, where's this coming from? .astro, we can ignore .astro. We don't need that. Okay, so this gives us, we're pulling in from ConvertKit. We're pulling in from, okay, this is the one we're pulling in from Clerk. We want to stop that. And I think even we may have, we not done that? I thought we did. Folders view. We didn't. Okay, so let's do that real quick. We're gonna set up a clerk util, and to do that, we can come out here and pnpm exec nx, and then I want to generate a lib, and I'm gonna not give it a name, I don't think, and instead I'm gonna give it directory of, call it clerk, and then the import path is also going to be clerk. I think that'll work. Don't need a build step. Not going to bother with any of the testing and stuff. That is something I want to do. But I know if I open that door right now, it'll turn into enough complexity that I won't ship the monorepo stuff. So if I break it down into the monorepo stuff, then I can start doing critical path testing, and it'll also help me thinking about the mocks. Some of this stuff I don't necessarily need to test that Clerk's API is working. Like, I have to trust that they are testing that. So I really just want to mock that and know that what's coming back from Clerk is it's what's coming back, and then probably have some kind of like end-to-end test where we do it live and check that things are working. Cannot find package. What is that? Are we missing this? Cannot find. You know what? I'm not going to stress about that because I don't think we're using it right now. So let's go back to our code. And now we have this clerk module set up. And if we look in here, we can see that it's set up as clerk. We've got our export set up. All those pieces that I wanted, that's good. In the README, it just kind of says what it does. We've got the tsconfig and the tsconfig lib. So this is one of the NX things that this is why I let NX generate, is that in order to get your TypeScript stuff working with the imports and everything completing and getting your types and all that, you just want to let it do this, because you can set this up manually, but why stress about it? So then we've got our index here. And I believe the way I did this for the other ones is we had our source, we have our index, and the index just is the whole thing. So if I go back up to the website and I look in the clerk utils, what I should be able to do, and we will see if this works, is I should be able to just come in and drop this in as is. I can delete the lib, and that leaves us with here. And then this is going to be an envar instead. So that goes away. And then I'm going to have to install the clerk backend for this project. So we go back out here and we say pnpm install clerk backend, and then we're going to filter to code TV clerk. Okay, so then that's in there. We're set there. And then if I come down here, what are you? Create user params. Where did that come from? Is that in my .env.dts? Create user params. So this is going to have to come. See, this is, I need to extract this stuff into the types package, because I made a types package, but I'm not very good at types. So maybe what I can do, let's see, if I copy this out and I come out to here and I do one of these and I say, I have to install all this stuff to make that work. Well, we're not. This kind of sucks, doesn't it? Because we use this in a couple places, I think, is it? Or do we? Am I making stuff up? Let's go out here. Where's the Stripe stuff coming from? Is that being used anywhere? User public metadata. Ah, right. Okay, so that's what's going on. Is that we're pulling in this Stripe status. That's unresolved, so it's not doing anything. But then we've kind of got these types here that we need to sort out. So we do need the Stripe stuff. So I would like for that to be available in the types, which for that to be true, I need to. None of that is pulling anything, which means then that this is because the Stripe package is installed. And that means that we need to install it here as well, which I guess is fine. Okay, it's fine. So that's going to go into types, which theoretically solves this .dts problem. No? Do I have to put it in a .m. Let's see. Assuming ingest doesn't come with the UI, it does come with the UI. It's here. This is the ingest UI, and so every function kind of runs like this, and you get these are the things that happened here, and then you can kind of see each of them over here as well, like what they did and what they specifically returned. So that's nice and does what we want it to do. I'm so bad at TypeScript. Like if I just rename this to m.d.ts, does that immediately fix all my, oh shit. Does that work? I have no idea. I'm going to try this. And I'm going to see if out here. So that means I'm going to need to, in here, install the types. And that's going to be at workspace.star. Okay. So I need to actually install that. And then do I then need, oh, this is going to suck so bad. Okay. Can I import this from the types? And I can't because I didn't export it. Kind of feels gross, doesn't it? Now that works. So then what's wrong? What? Oh boy. Does anybody know how TypeScript works? Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Let's see. I know this, but I know this works. Like I've done this before. Do I need to? I really don't want to have to do this in every file, but do you have to like do the triple thing and then where is it? Thing, triple thing, and then this thing. That would be frustrating if that was the case. But then I wouldn't need to do this anymore. But then that's no longer there, which means I'm doing it wrong. Do you know? No, don't. Okay, you clearly don't know what I'm talking about. Down the rabbit hole we go, I guess. Let's see. How to automatically use types from custom types package. This is what I want. So don't want to publish indefinitely typed. Compiler options. Types and consumer. The types package contains my typings in the form of DTS. I have index. Okay, so I can probably do index.dts. npm link types into consumer and add types star. And this is the one that's being exported as types. And then using the exported types. Okay, but this is where it's breaking because it's not doing that the way that we want it to. It's doing it as index.d.ts. Okay, so then what if I just like let it try to do its own thing? This is the wrong one. No, it's not. This is the right one. Oh. Wait. Where's all that stuff that I just in the types? Index.d.ts. We're going in here. Getting rid of these. We'll do one of those. Coming back over here. This is right. That's where we want it to be. This one we can potentially get. I'm going to try getting rid of it. I want to see. So then we come back over here. And if I import it now, does it even show up as an option? Argument of type. See, but this. Yeah, explain what this means. Type mismatch. No, I understand that it's done by a type mismatch. use the clerk SDK types directly. No, don't do anything. What am I doing differently in here? Because I extended this type successfully in the other one. And so I feel like this is what made the difference. Clerk Astro Env, and that's, we don't need that. We don't need that. So the back end stuff should all be pulled in. And so the issue that we're having is what this is all here. No, these aren't resolved. Okay. Something's going wrong because we're not getting our do I need to install the clerk backend here? Let's try and see if that makes a difference. Because theoretically, that puts the clerk backend types in the environment for this one, which would then, I still don't know why these ones really feel like they should be working. Because we have the thing. See, this is bad. It's not pulling these in. So if we go in here and we say that's not right. How do you do this? Reference path. We're going to say clerk backend. And then we're going to do it again, and we're going to say Stripe. And this should then be giving us, see, what am I doing wrong? Let's see. I didn't break anything. This is not my fault. But seriously though, why isn't this working? Because this should be importing these types, which we have. They're here, right? The packages are present. Clerk. Like, is there a types thing that I should be looking for? Where does it say the types are? Let me look in here. We've got package type. See, and this should be working just fine, as far as I know. So then, okay. What don't I know about? What am I doing wrong? We've got lib types or node. I guess that kind of is what it is. Are the types different in the website? Let's look. The types are not being touched at all, which I guess that could be part of the problem, is that this is allowing the default stuff to happen and the types package is not. What happens if I don't? What happens if I just leave it alone? Do we get... Let me just try that one more time with the index.ts. And the reload doesn't fix that. So this isn't doing anything, I don't think. Really feels like it should be. Let me pull up another package JSON here. This one has all the exports in it. So let's do this exports thing in this one. Let's see if we can make anything work. We're going to go index.dts. And we're going to see if that makes any difference whatsoever. And I don't think it does. I shouldn't have to import Stripe from Stripe. Namespace, Stripe, import Stripe. And then that still doesn't do the thing. See, so I've done something real goofy here. Something is like wrong. Because why can't this, like, why wouldn't that resolve? Stripe is right here. It is imported. It's a dependency. It's installed. And yet we can't see anything inside of it. So when we go here, this is like not a thing. And then if we Stripe, it's just kind of like doing things. Status. Yeah, it's like customer. What on earth? How did I even get this at some point? This object represents a customer of your business. Are these real things? That one works. That one works. This one does not. So is this not a thing? I think maybe I was just wrong. Okay, so that now seems to be functioning. Are these functioning? No. But if I import from see, I feel like I'm making a giant mess here. User private metadata from clerk backend. That doesn't feel like it's doing anything. And this is jumping to my definition, which is not good. So create user like, because none of these are exported is the problem. But then what the hell were these doing? Like, is it just picking these up just because? Okay, so let's assume like the part that I care about is that we get the right types here and that we stop getting this error. And that's clearly not happening. And the reason that's not happening is because apparently that interface needs to be overridden at maybe it needs to be overridden at this level, which isn't ideal. Let's just try it and see what happens. What if okay, so I'm going to take the typed package out and we're going to reinstall. Fuzzy, how you doing? So now this is no longer coming in at all. Let me close this and reopen it just to see. No. And that would... I don't know how to solve this, and I'm trying to decide how much I care. Because this is... like, I don't want to deal with this. Here's my index. Can I just import this? I'm not going to be able to import this from Clerk Backend, I don't think. Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist in Clerk Backend. Right. So if I get in here, I search inside of this Clerk Backend folder. Find in folder. It just doesn't exist at all. Doesn't seem right. Where was I getting this from? Like, what is happening? Where on earth are all of your types? Package. Types are in index. So these are pulling in from clerk types. And those, I would assume PNPM is extracting up to the top level. So they would presumably be up here somewhere. Clerk backend without... Why don't we have any? Those are being required. Why wouldn't they be? Let's get clerk types, I guess. I don't like this. I feel like I'm climbing into something that I shouldn't have to. And this is how I feel every time I get into like a TypeScript thing like this. It's like I'm somehow like, you know, when you like find yourself in a space and you're like, I'm not supposed to be here, and you know that you like, in order to solve the problem that you have, you should be here, but like it's definitely not where you want to be. I don't believe that this is not in here. It doesn't seem to be. Update user params. Show me that one. That's not helpful. Update user JSON. And then you end up with your user public metadata. Oh man, I hate this. Okay. User resource. Did they bump versions and like I'm just sitting on an old version and that's why this is working for me? This is clerk backend. Where's the types? We're in types. Package clerk types 471. What is the website at? Because that was where we had this last. Clerk backend is at 241. Clerk backend is at 261. That's not a breaking change. What on earth? Do you? I mean, Vinny, if you've got ideas, man, I'm all ears because this one is definitely like deep TypeScript is not a thing that I've really gotten into. I've honestly I've tried to avoid it because my belief is that if you're not a library author, TypeScript is something that you should not notice. Like if you're writing TypeScript, you're probably working against your best interests because if you write code in a way that's easy to infer, um, TypeScript handles all that autocomplete for you. And if you find yourself kind of fighting against that, what's weird in your code that's making right? That's kind of how I feel about it. But in libraries, that's not an option. Like in libraries, you have to handle all this stuff. And so I know that I'm kind of working at building a library, which is why I'm in this place. But I do not understand why this is doing what it's doing, and that has me concerned that I don't quite get how this exists at all. And so now I'm wondering, is there a type in here? Like, let's just look at what this thinks it needs. It wants create user, takes create you. See, this is what pisses me off. Create user takes create user params. All right, where the hell are the create user params? Well, let's click through to that. Here they are. They sit here. And for whatever reason, we're not able to override those. And this is all the stuff I had to copy, right? And so what I'm trying to do is just update this to work the way that I want it to without having to rewrite the whole thing. And so what I should be able to do is just this, right? Like I don't want to use all this. I want it to just work. Right? And if I take this out and I just pass that, see, but then it's mad because it has an any type. So then you use this, but then that doesn't exist. So then you want to pull this in and you want to get it from where? So this comes from clerk backend and it's not. And this isn't exported. See, so this is where I ended up in this place in the first place is that there's no export of this thing as far as I know. So yeah, so there's two instances of create user params. And so I end up having to then copy this out in order to use it, which just feels bad. And then it's telling me that this doesn't match. And I guess we'll see if this has updated. Not all code pass. Okay, so I think okay. This is why I didn't want to do this. It looks like some internal thing in the type updated in a minor version. And I don't know if that's they added a new hashing algorithm, they tweaked one of these. I don't know what they did. I didn't look at the diff. We could go look at the diff. I don't really care. But something changed in here because I'm copy pasting internals in order to get this autocomplete, right? And because that something changed, that meant that this create user params didn't match this create user params. But now that I've copy pasted again, so this is the rickety crap that I don't like. And I don't know why I can't just get this out of clerk, because that would solve my problem where I need to write this abstraction function and I would like for it to take the user, right? Cool. Anyways, this is fine. Not all code pass return a value. You don't return a value. So this will return, I guess this would throw an error. Whatever. We'll just throw that error and it'll do what it does. Okay, so that solves that problem. Jesus Christ. That was like a solid hour of fighting against TypeScript just to realize that all I had to do was copy paste something. Hooray. Let's see. Do I care enough to try to figure out how to put this back in the types? My hunch is I don't, right? Like I don't necessarily want to. Let's try it. If I try it once and it works, that would make me very happy. And so I'm going to at least give it a shot. Okay, so then if you're here, this is the export. These do what they're supposed to do. I go back in here, we add the dependency again, which is going to be you. And that's workspace. And then this is not importing a type at all. It just works because it's in .env.ts. And then you, let's run that pnpm install. That'll get the types in. And so now that's in the package. Here's our types. Let's go back to you. And this all goes away. So I'm going to just get rid of it real quick. And then we go back into our index, and our index is no longer getting the thing. So let's see if I reference types, and we're going to say code TV types. I did that wrong because it didn't do the magic thingy. So let's go look at what it's supposed to do. Reference path equals and then you still don't work even if I reload the window. Still don't work. So I don't understand. Because that works, right? And then this is just fine. But I don't know why it won't pick up the types from the types package, which probably means, I don't know, let's try one more thing. Code TV types. Come back out here, delete it. Come back in here. Reload one more time just to see if that kicks it off. I don't get it. I don't get it. Somebody who knows TypeScript, tell me how this is supposed to work, because I am so frustrated by this whole thing. Let's go back into here and get rid of this. Okay. All right, so that's fine. So then we're going to come back down to the types. We're just going to clean this out while we're in it, because I don't want to have that confusing me later. Okay. So that's that we've extracted clerk into its own thing, theoretically speaking, which means then I can go back up to the website and get back to what I was initially trying to do, which is in this you go away Discord. Okay, so this is the one that I wanted to fix. So we are going to install this in the website. And that's going to go here, Code TV Clerk. We'll install it. Then out here, this should resolve itself once that install finishes. Oh, did I screw this up I was probably in the wrong folder, or in the wrong thing here. You are supposed to be index.ts, which should fix you. That does. Okay, great. So then we're now exporting the right thing. We've got clerk that does what it's supposed to do. Let's save that. Let's go back to finding in files. And this would be utils. No, it's util. And that's going to change to Code TV. Nope, not that button. Jesus. Okay, and then you change to Code TV. And then we can come in here and delete that clerk file because we're not using it anymore. Good. Okay, so that's one. And then I believe we need to do the same thing in the workflows. No, not workflows. In the ingest lib. And so we're going to find in folder here. And we're going to search for clerk. And so these all, yeah, it's going to be integrations clerk. And so any of the integrations schema we want, steps we want. Okay, good. And then we're going to check. Oh, wait, no. We need to get into here. And so this needs to come in from Code TV Clerk, which we need to install. So we're going to go back to the folders view, go down here. And that's going to be Clerk, which we need to install. I actually want to get this out of Discord because this one shouldn't be calling to clerk directly, right? What I also want to check is in here. So ingest client coming out is fine. Clerk type user is coming out of API. We're going to change that to be a clerk dot or Code TV clerk. So then we need to make sure that this type user is being exported. Export type user from backend. Okay, good. That's fine. We can do that. Let's get down here to our lib. No, up to clerk. There we go. There we go. What is happening? There we go. Okay. So those are doing what we want. These are doing what they want. So we're pulling in the steps the right way there. Ingest client is coming in the way we want it to. So over in this one, what we need to do is figure out where we're calling this. And this instead, oh, not that one. Step run, clerk user get. Yeah. So this is the one that needs to be pulled out. So this should be a clerk step. And collapse this big one, user subscription update, user get external account ID. And this one would be called getting the user. So we're going to create a new one called export const user get by ID, I think it is. Yes. And that's going to be an ingest create function. We can expand this for help with the API. So we need an ID, and this is going to be clerk user get by ID. And these don't matter. You can call them whatever you want. Because this one's going to be internal only, I'm just going to call it the same thing. But like if you had an external thing that you wanted to call whenever this happened, you could. Let's see. So then we've got our event and the step. Then I can come back in here and I can copy this whole thing out. And this one's going to require so we have to define some parameters for this one. So in our schema types, okay, then we have all the bits here. So we'll say clerk user get by ID, and that is going to be what happens up here? Data, and that's a Zod object. And what we need is the user ID, and that's going to be a string. I believe that's all we need. So then this is defined now. So instead of it being just a plain user ID, it's going to be event.data.user ID, and that auto completes. We know that it's going to be set because that is what we're having it do. Then we're going to return this. And if something goes wrong, we import the non-retrievable error from ingest. And then what is this? A type annotation is necessary. Okay, I've seen this. I've done this before. And the reason this happens is because we need to do it's in here somewhere. Get user metadata as promise user. Is that what I need to do? Get user. Okay. So what we're doing is we're basically just making sure that the clerk user type gets passed through. So that then let's just go back out here, and instead of doing this, we're going to call const user equals await step dot invoke. And with this one, you call the function. And that is going to be user get by ID. We need to refactor that to use the right capitalization. So we're going to go back here, fix it. And then we have to call it with the right data. So it will autocomplete for us and we get our data. And it should. Oh, I know what I did wrong. This is okay. Here's why this is wrong. You have to pass in the data like this. What am I doing? What am I missing here? Here's my function. Invoke. Oh, the first thing is an argument. Okay, so that's okay. That's what I'm doing wrong. And we just give it whatever name. So that's going to be up here. Get user account. And that'll be Discord get user. Then we call the get user by ID, and then we need the data. And that data is going to be the user ID. We already have that, so that will do what we want. Why are you mad? Oh, I didn't mean that. I meant this. That's fine. This is no longer being used. And that means now we're calling it like it's designed to work, as separate pieces. So by not pulling the clerk internals in, we're able to, like, we can reference steps, but then later if we swap out like what our clerk client is, or we want to use a different thing, all of the clerk logic is happening here. It's just wrapped up inside of this step. I could swap this out for something that's not clerk, and we could make this more generic, like user, and then pull in user steps and like user get by ID, and then the internals aren't exposed. We don't know that it's clerk. It doesn't matter. Theoretically, that's what I should be doing, but whatever. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So does everything work at runtime? Not. Oh, this was about the TypeScript stuff. Yeah. Let's see where we're at. A type helper extract import type from lib. Oh, that's kind of cool. How to make a calculator. I mean, there's so many tutorials on that I'm not gonna dig into that. There's like, if you go to YouTube and type how to make a calculator with whatever programming language, I promise you'll find multiple tutorials that'll walk you through that step by step. Let's see. So we've got our clerk stuff extracted. And now if we look through these, we should see nowhere in here we should be calling clerk. And just had a moment of horror. I was like, did I just pull up a environment variable? I didn't. Clerk webhook user. See, this also shouldn't be there. This should be in the clerk index. So let's switch this out for CodeTV clerk. And then we need to make sure that we're actually exporting that. So back to lib, which is up here. Oh, wait, hold on. I think that one's actually okay, because that one is That one's pulling from the types. I don't love that. But I don't know that I want to necessarily this let's add a to do on this one because that's kind of a whole figure out how to organize. Because this is the Zod schema that is for ingest specifically. And so pulling it out to the clerk lib, it would be fine. But the way that it's used is here. We've got our clerk webhook user, so it's this Zod object. And if I I think this is okay. If I pull this out, that makes Zod a dependency of the lib, which isn't a problem. It's a dependency everywhere. PNPM kind of sorts that out. It won't really get used anywhere else, but it would mean then that the internals of the Discord ingest weren't depending on reaching across into another integration folder. So it separates that boundary a little more clearly. Do I care? I think it's probably worth doing. So let's copy this and then we'll delete this and then we'll go to the clerk package and do one of these. And then I need to install Zod. Into Code TV Clerk. Then I got the chat open, Fuzzy. I'm always watching. So let's see. We got so then that puts this here. So then we should be able to come out here and import from Code TV Clerk. All right. So now we've kind of got like our basic setup here, and then over here. What? Okay, so we got to figure that out. Oh, it's wait. You exist. You're fine. So then if I reload the window, you should also be fine because now you're mad. Why would this be undefined? Oh no, did we like break this? What is happening? What's going on? Oh, it's because we didn't pin at the right version, and so the Zod mismatch is happening. So we need Zod at 325, and I think it's going to be installed in clerk at 4. Yeah. That's why. And the reason for this is that this is being worked on, but there's in Zod 4 they introduced something that ingest isn't compatible with just yet. No, don't do that. And because of that, it caused incompatibilities. But this should have fixed that. You're okay? Yeah? All right. Okay. Okay. Everything's back to normal. Yeah, so the Zod version mismatch, it needs to be pinned globally, which I think there's probably a way to do that in PNPM. I don't know what it is. I don't care enough to go and fix this, so I'm not going to stress about it. But then okay, so that makes me feel better about that. Then in here we've got our auth, and that's not importing anything. That's not importing anything. Basically just making sure that we don't have any includes for stuff that we want to extract out. Like the sheet stuff, the calendar stuff, that I'll expect to be coming out of here. Types, yep. Sanity stuff we already worked on, so that's all coming out of the sanity lib instead of being pulled out of here. Same thing here. We've got the, or I guess this one didn't really need anything. The stripe stuff is just kind of pulled out. We might need to extract this one actually. Let's go look and see in the utils. Yeah, we've got a stripe folder. So let's make the stripe package, and we're going to do that hopefully much faster than we did this other one. So we're going to go back up to where we ran generation, and we're going to call this one stripe and put it in the stripe folder. Library, we're going into stripe, and it is called Code TV Stripe. Okay. So that's going through. We don't need any build steps. And now we have, that's not what I meant to pull up. Here's what I meant to pull up. So now we have a library. That library is called Stripe. Our Stripe library is going to have all of these goodies in it. We're going to delete this lib folder because I don't need the abstraction. And then all of these need to become envars. And so then you go away. Go away, and then you are down here as process. And good, then all these go away, and then we need to install Astro server. Why are you mad? Secret key. Okay, and then we can check for this other one that's mad as well. What are you mad about? The inferred type cannot be named. Gross. Don't love that. Oh, that's all you want? Yeah, if that's all you want, that's fine. Okay, now what's mad? You're mad because we don't have a user, and this user type is down here. This is where I really want this stuff to be in the types package because everything starts bleeding, right? Frustrating. I don't love it, but I think I'm just to get us through this, I think I'm gonna just put it in. Code TV Stripe. What was that? All right, you got to get it together. That's a auto completion from warp that I don't quite understand. Is like, let me get a few types in, but like once you're not matching anymore, quit trying. Like you've lost the plot. So that should fix that. That's happy. I'm not happy, but whatever. And then down here we end up with shoot. Because this is our magic type that we've extended. And so now we're going to be double extending this type. Oh. This sucks. Because that fixes it, right? Because now everything's where it needs to be. So I really need to figure out how to get this into how to get these types into Code TV types in a way that actually works. Whatever. It sucks, but it's fine. We'll deal with it someday. So then up here, I'm just going to add this same note because now we've got duplication, so it might as well show up in my to-dos duplicated as well. All right. So then that's doing what we want it to do, which should mean then that up here, we should install the Code TV Stripe. Oh wait, no, that's not how this works. I got to go into it and do it manually. So we're in the website, we're into the package JSON, and we are going to install Code TV Stripe. And the way we actually do that is we npmi. So that'll get it in there, and then anywhere inside of here that I am including Stripe, we're going to swap out for Code TV Stripe. And these are all fine. Okay. So that should get all of the Stripe stuff out. We are going to just going to delete that util now that it's out. Okay. And then in here, in our ingest, we've got the Stripe integration, and the Stripe integration Does not have an API. So we are I believe in the clear. So the sanity steps, clerk steps, Discord steps, all good. We need our Oh, wait. This, though, should be coming out of the Stripe package. So we're going to import instead of getting it out of Stripe itself, we will pull it out of the shared package. So that's going to happen up here. Import Stripe from Code TV. We don't have it yet. We need to install it. From Code TV Stripe. And then this goes away. And then down here, all of this stuff is what I would expect. It's all the stripey thingies. This handle verify webhook signature, I should probably wait, did we already pull that out? Or no, that's in the other thing. Okay, so that's all where I want it to be, right? So then we just need to install package. Whoops. Code TV, and that's going to go into workflow. No, ingest. Oh, right, because it's a package. I gotta. Okay, so that'll solve that problem. This will stop yelling at me momentarily. Okay, so you're happy. And then ingest does have this now. I should fix that at some point. And then let's look at what we're pulling in here. We've got our schema, that's fine. We've got our types, our steps. That's pulling in from steps, good. Types. All good stuff. And client is only pulling from integrations, not from the APIs. This is a disaster. Actually, I think we can delete this now. I think. Because we moved it into the clerk package. I think. I guess we'll see when we go to build if we get a type error. But that would mean then that I can delete this, which is at least one place where I'm not duplicating stuff, so that's good. And then we have our index, and that's pulling steps, only steps, pulls the ingest client, and does the registration, or exports the client. All right, so I think this gets us where I want to go, I believe. I also think that means I can get rid of you because we're not importing from Stripe, I don't think. Import Stripe from Stripe. If I get rid of this, what happens? These get all sad. Damn it. And then we get deletions. That's fine. But then none of these are sad. Okay, so I can't get rid of stripe stuff. That again, that would be neat to have auto inferred by importing the types or something. Hey, what's up, Mel? How you doing? What's up, Strange2X? How you doing? What's up, Rashad? Not mad, it's just disappointed. That's how I feel. Any environment variables leaked? How dare you? Vinny, you are responsible for most of my pain. We know that. Let's see. What else are we doing? We got. Oh, what's up, Najaf? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, we're messing with ingest today is the big thing. We're doing like a monorepo refactor so that I can clean out a bunch of dependencies in the website folder. So if I go back to the folders, then out here and the website, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We've got this kit, which I'd like to extract this out and do its own thing. The Discord stuff we almost certainly need to delete. I think we can as well. I'm gonna delete this because we extracted this out into its own thing. And let's check in the website if that broke anything. Let's exclude content. Log, I guess. All right, so that's fine. That's not, and that should be coming out of Code TV Discord, which we don't have installed yet. So let's go to the package. Code TV Discord. Now we're pulling it out of the monorepo. And we'll do the install. I do have this set up as a monorepo thing, right? Did I just like blow away that whole Discord thing for no reason? Crap. Okay, hold on. We're not done yet. We got to go back. We got to go back to this deleted file. So let's go to changes. And we deleted the Discord folder. So we are going to need to take this and put it into a new thing. So let's run that exec command to create a new one more time. I believe this will be the last one that we need to do. And then we can hopefully delete a ton of environment variables out of the website, which will get us in a better place to be able to have people like run it in dev mode without requiring all of the extra pieces. What just happened? Code TV Discord at Workspace is in the. So I think it might be because I tried to set it up, or I tried to install it before we created it. Let's see. Clerk. There's Discord. There's all our bits. Type. And it's going to end up being sys.env.discord token. So you go away. These, I should probably put these into a config, but I don't. It doesn't feel urgent. So I'll leave those alone for now. Then we can delete this. Okay. And back here, then we should be able to import it properly. In apps website, code TV Discord. Did I screw up the spelling on this? I did. Okay, so that does that. That corrects that. Now let's go down to ingest, and we want to double check any of the Discord bits that we're doing here because here's all of our API stuff. And so these we want to swap out in our steps to be from Code TV Discord instead, which we need to install. Okay. So that does what we want. Then we get some errors down here. Those errors are, oh, shoot. We're just going to leave that one. That's fine. I don't care about that one. Okay. So once I figure out how to get everything into code TV types in a way that actually functions, this problem will sort itself out because this is that custom user type. So everywhere that I'm referencing this custom user type, which is I had to pull out clerk guts that aren't exposed and then turn those clerk guts. I overrode the default interface for public metadata because you can put whatever you want in there to say that we're using a Stripe subscription as part of the public metadata. However, that's not being shared between libraries. And I've already duplicated it twice, and I don't want to duplicate it a third time, which is why because we're only using it the once in here, I'm just not going to stress about it. But so then let's make sure we're not using the API anywhere else. We're not, which means then I can delete this API. Let's just double check real quick. This is in fact the same. Oh, I did extract it out into a config. Oh, you know what? Let's use this one instead because I think this is going to be better in terms of the way the lib is organized. Because I think I just took some time to clean this one up. Let's just double check it, make sure that we'll put the source or the config in here. So we've got the server IDs, channel IDs, things like that. We've got subscription levels, the headers, that is all in here. So we've got our headers here, server ID, channel ID, and then the role IDs, which in Discord we have different roles for different support levels. And those are all hard-coded here. But let's just double check that I didn't change anything else. So we've got the role ID. So there's a get role ID, there's a get member. There is a send Discord message, update role, remove role. Okay. Those are doing what I expected them to do. Let's go back into ingest. Let's look at the API. Get role ID, get member, send Discord message, update role, and remove role. Okay. So I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to override this to use the config. Importing extensions. Do you not? Come on. And then subscription level from types. Which that's complicated. Let's see. How am I doing this? We'll import that instead from Code TV Discord, which means this needs to it's kind of gross, but it'll do. So we've got that. You're here. You're here. These aren't even used. That was only in there to be used by this file. So I think I was extracting because we had simplified stuff. And then now that it's just kind of a refactor to get it in the place where it's actually used. Theoretically, this should live in the types package, but we're not quite there yet. But now, I believe, what are you mad about? You're mad about Code TV Discord, which we already had. Okay, so now that's all happy again. You're sad because of what? You're sad because I did something goofy. Okay, so we're gonna... Did we do this? So then up here, so the ConvertKit stuff, I probably want to pull out into its own thing because then we can get rid of it in the environment variables. So let's just do that. And then I can also rename it because they rebranded, so they're Kit now. Should probably call it like newsletter or something to disambiguate between it being like a Code TV toolkit or something. But that's all right. It's an internal tool. We just live with things being a little wonky sometimes. Okay, so then this is all coming out here. We're going to go down into Kit. We are going to delete this lib folder because we're not going to use it. I'm going to go to the index, and then this needs to be process.env ConvertKit secret key, which means we need to double check for it. Okay. And then down here, we've got some angry stuff. What's data? Data is coming back as whatever. Fix the Kit response type. They don't have an SDK or anything, so we're kind of just like anything I do would be hard coded anyways. So we're kind of just letting it rip here. Whatever. what I should probably do is set up like a Zod schema so that I get notified if they change their API. But yeah, we'll see. Clerk Guts, very graphic, yeah. Um, Thanks, Mateo. Yeah, I mean it definitely depends on the day because some days I feel like I set out to code and don't do any of it, and other days it feels like we just rip through a bunch of stuff. So I feel like today's been a good day. Yeah, procrastinating on camera for sure. I mean, the camera is a little bit of a forcing function because like I can't open social media, right? I guess I could, but like I'm not gonna. So it's kind of like, okay, well, am I gonna stand here and talk to y'all, which I love to do, or am I gonna code, which I'm happy to do? And those are really my two options, right? And so today we stuck into some code. What are you mad about? You're mad down here about this again, which is the any and get kit return types. Okay. So those ones we're just sort of like living with because we don't have the schema set for them. I should look into it to see if Kit has updated to have an SDK. It's been a long time since I've messed with any of this. But I think then that puts us in pretty solid shape here. So we've got our kit set up. That's all good to go. We've got these doing what I want them to do, which means then I need to put this into the website package. We'll install that. And then we can go into this astro.config and we can just start ripping stuff out because we are no longer using a lot of this stuff. So like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start looking for find in folder. We're going to go for astro env. Okay, so this one, this one's going to have to stay for now. I should pull that one out into something else. Algolia will need to stay. I might even be able to leave that stuff in as like, because the Algolia stuff, you can't only read, you can only read from this, right? So having this exposed isn't actually a big deal. The sanity secret stuff is living in generate redirects, which is no longer necessary because we've done the redirects, which means I think I can dump these and they will live in the Git history because we're not using them anymore. These are the ones that live here. Like it was some testing. This is getting the old episodes into the new episode shape. This is getting the redirects from the old path to the new path, and I don't need any of that anymore. So we're gonna leave that in the Git history. And then let's get back to the find in files. So we've got the search client. We decided we need that. Checkout. This I should set up to be this will run as long, I believe. Well, no, it won't because you would need to have Stripe key set. So I need to. Can we just import Stripe from TV Stripe? Get rid of all these. That should just work as is. Of course, except for you. Import type Stripe. Stripe. Okay, so this is probably going to need some cleanup because this isn't ideal. This probably needs to eventually end up living somewhere else. U2 should be importing Stripe from Code TV Stripe. So we can get rid of all of this. This is going to be a type instead. It's not even being used. Let me just get rid of it then. Yep. Okay. Clerk publishable key needs to be there. The kit stuff is living in the kit utils, which we did get rid of. So where is the util convert kit being used? Coming out of Code TV kit, which means then we can focus on the folders view. We're going to get rid of this convert kit util. Okay, great. So then we go back to find in files. We can go to Astro Env again. And so what needs to remain is the Mux stuff. We need the Algolia stuff, and we need the publishable clerk key. Nothing else needs to live in the website. Although that's not entirely true, is it? Because if we don't have some of that stuff in the env, then the Code TV packages that it's referencing, like the Stripe stuff, is still going to fail. But it will at least stop Astro from like fully exploding. So the nice thing about this is it means I can get rid of you. I can get rid of, we're using those, I think. We're not using this, I don't think. We're not using the Stripe stuff anymore. We're not using, need to double check on those. We are using the Mux stuff. We are not using the Cloudinary stuff because that's in the lib now. We're not using the ConvertKit API key because that's in the lib now. We're not using the I don't think we're using the Sanity secret token. Or no, we are in the lib. Discord bot isn't there. Algolia we need. Google API service account goes away. Okay. So that's only shown up in the env. So that means we should be able to get rid of it. So we can drop all the tiers, the pricing, because that's now living in. Okay. What about you? Where do you live? The .env and the config. So that must be, I must have just been using that for something else. Or not, maybe I wasn't using it at all and I just like set it up at some point. So then we've got a publishable key. We've got the Mux stuff, which I need to fix. And that Mux, I think the way I should fix that Mux stuff, if it's not set, do we just bail entirely? Because you won't be able to run the site without this, right? And you shouldn't have to set this up. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back because I don't think that's ever happened before. Would it be the same if I had 20 people? Yes, but only because I've spent so long giving presentations, and a lot of my if I'm teaching code, a lot of my coding presentations involve live coding, and like teaching workshops obviously is almost just a code run, like a coding speed run. But it's practice, right? I wasn't comfortable when I started, but I've been doing it for over 20 years now, so I'm much more comfortable in front of people with when I'm messing with code. Um, what am I building? We're trying to get this monorepo cleaned up to the point that somebody else can run it, but I gotta go because I gotta go home and get ready for this photo shoot. Um, but we did pretty well today. Like, I'm not sad about this, but I am pretty sure when I push it that it's gonna break. Holy crap, look at what we did today. We got into everything. So this is all the website stuff we modified, like we installed a bunch of local libs. We got rid of environment variables that don't need to be present in the Astro site. Um, we updated the action, so that's going to be like I'm assuming the newsletter stuff. Um, Cleaned up some things that we're importing from local utils. We got rid of stuff that we're not using anymore. We cleaned up more stuff that's now using the util libraries as opposed to local utils. Um, all the installs here, cleaned these up to make sure they're using their libraries. What else? And then we added a Clerk, Discord kit, and Stripe library, as well as me struggling with the types, which it doesn't work, but we'll work on it. We'll try to get there. So let's add everything. That's everything for now. And then when we push this, it's going to go up to the monorepo cleanup branch so I can go check this out. I think I've got a pull request going for it, so it should auto build. And my hunch is that this is just going to immediately fail because I think what'll happen is where's my deploy previews? What's going on? Did I not push? I did push, right? Oh, I haven't committed. Git commit. Extracting shared bits to all right, so that should kick off a build. And I think even though we got rid of the references, the libraries themselves are still going to need environment variables in some cases. So I think what we need to do is probably have some way of gracefully failing that just like logs like, hey, you're missing environment variables, but because this is in dev mode, we're going to continue and you just won't get a response, or you'll get a canned response or something. But this might work. While we're waiting for that to build, let me poke around at what we got going on. So this week, I think I got to double check with Ada, but we rescheduled to Thursday to do some SSH and SFTP. This is stuff that I haven't. I mean, who's still using FTP, right? It's been a while since I've used FTP. Not as long as you might think, but it's a little less prevalent. However, there are still a lot of cases where it's pretty interesting, and being able to do that securely is also very interesting. It is also going to be digging into async Python. Like, I don't write much Python at all. I've maybe 15, 20 lines total in my career. It just isn't something that's come up in my project. So excited to dig into that. And we're going to just see how far we can go with that. I will confirm the date, and hopefully that is in fact still happening. And then I'm strongly considering taking a summer break. I might take August to rethink a couple things. I've got some plans for what I want to do with Learn with Jason to make it like, it won't fundamentally change. It's still going to be talking about the project at the beginning and then working on the project in the latter half. But I think I want to do it as two distinct things. So what I want to be able to do is release the first part as a podcast, because I think that there's a lot of interesting information that can be consumed without seeing the screen in that first discussion part. and then I want the like how to get up and running with this thing to actually be released separately, right? So there'll be the talking about the project, and then there will be using the project. Those are going to be two separate things that are going to be released separately. And my reasoning for that is I have a hunch that different people get different things out of that show, and I think they're skipping around to find the pieces they care about. And so my hunch is that if we intentionally package those up and release them as like, this is us discussing what's cool about this tool, and this is us using that tool. You can still watch them both, obviously, but you will be able to consume the piece that you're most interested about or most interested in without having to skip around the video, which I think will help with discoverability and consumability, which are both kind of Learn with Jason is I think it's better than its views would suggest personally. And obviously, I'm biased. I've been doing it for a really long time, but my hunch is so this built. Okay, so if this built, and it could be that what happened is this built because I have all my environment variables set. But let's go and look. Okay. These are some bits that yeah, these are all doing what we want. Let's try something that will cause a change. So I'm going to go into my bio. That did what we want. So let's go to ingest. And this should have kicked off run here. There's the run. And here's my changes. Right? You can see my WowE. So that's doing the pieces that we want it to do. It's updating the user. And I think, yeah, their polling has been a little bit strange, but it that did what we wanted. So it updated sanity. I think if we go look at our deploys, it will have also, yeah, because there's a sanity change, it kicks off a rebuild which would update the profile. So that's cool. Now what I need to figure out is actually, if anybody wants to dig into this code, see if you can pull and just run the website. My hunch is you can't. My hunch is that you're going to hit environment variable errors because the libraries are going to be looking for them and they won't be there. So the next step is that we need to go through and figure out if I disable all of my environment variables except for the ones that are defined in the Astro config, how can we make that work in a way that makes it clear that the site's not functional like it should? We'll hit error boundaries or something that'll say like, hey, this part needs an environment variable, but it won't prevent you from being able to work on the site. So you won't be able to like update a profile or try the signed mux flow of getting private videos, but you will be able to boot it up, click around, submit the actions that don't require tokens to run, and like, you know, actually see how the whole thing functions. But that's kind of what, yeah, that's where we're at right now. That'll be the next big step to go and manage. But I hopefully that will that'll sort this out somewhat soon, because I'd love to move on to the next bit, which is I'm trying to build out this automation so that I can manage the Learn with Jason calendar through like a suite of automations. And I've got it kind of mocked up and I think it's really cool. I just haven't had a chance to work on it. And I want to get this sorted first because I feel like the more I put into these workflows, the more I want them to be organized before I start, because this has been several days now of refactoring to get the stuff peeled out into the separate libs. I would love to get that buttoned up properly so that when we start adding more functionality, we're doing it in a way that I won't have to go back and like refactor again and as part of finishing this process out. So yeah, anyways, that's all I got time for today. Thank you all so much for hanging out. We will see you on Thursday. Take care, y'all.